Welcome to the, I don't know, God knows what type of episodes. Are we keeping episode markers right now? We are the worst. I am the worst organized show organizer / producer in the business. But here we go. Born in trouble. How you fellas doing tonight?
Beautiful.
Doing well.
So the game, as always, we're going live on YouTube to the 1 or 2 family members that want to watch us. But anyway, I'm just joking. And we're actually doing a lot better as a show. And I'd like to get into that because for some reason, we seem to be having a resurgence or a discovery here online. But partially that's because of the input of one Andrew Johnson.
What up? I wish I could take all the credit for it, but I think maybe you got a few of my straggler listeners who decided to drift over and check you out.
Check it out. Well, hopefully those people are like the other stragglers that I'm used to and are disappointed that I was not naked. Anyway, Mr. Brooks, what the good news? He's back.
Aloha, brother.
What's on the body? How are you feeling today, Mr. Brooks?
Why you sound like you're underwater, man? Get up on that microphone.
Yeah, get
Sounds
close.
like I'm underwater. You gotta put me on. You gotta come a little bit closer here.
I'm getting more echo than you.
How's this? Is this a little bit better?
A little bit.
This better? This better? Turn on my mic. My mic. Check. My mic sounds nice. Check one.
Check one.
There you
My
go.
mic sounds nice. Check two. All right. So here we are, dating ourselves with hip hop. What would that word? Nostalgic songs. Yes. So, fellas, how y'all feeling right now, man? What's going on in the world here?
The world is crazy right now, but I'm feeling good. I'm happy. My mom lives in South America in Colombia, but was nowhere near the earthquake zone. So,
Amen.
a little bit of a little sigh of relief yesterday. Actually, I didn't even know what was going on. I just got a text from my mom saying, "Hey, I'm good. They evacuated the building as a precaution, but I never felt anything." I'm like, I guess I better look at a newspaper. What's going on?
They got video up
Yeah.
already showing.
Oh, they got video for real.
Yeah, I guess we'll start the show with terrible to our family moments. Personally, my lady almost choked to death today. I mean, not today, but last week. And she's been telling everybody in the family that I'm really messed up because apparently she was choking and she said to me, and she said,
She said he won't cut off 2 inches for anybody.
yeah, that's basically what I've used that one. I've used that before. But anyway, but we're not getting into that. But no, but she was choking, and I turned around and I said, what? I said something to her. I was like, what are you talking about? And she got up and went over to the thing, and she started to. So then I helped her with the Heimlich, but I'm a terrible person because I didn't notice that she would almost choke to death. So I'm sorry, baby.
Did she give you the universal sign for choking?
But the middle finger?
No, not the middle finger. That's this. Normally people are choking, they give you this. That's the international sign for choking. Yeah.
Well, that's the whole problem. My back was turned the entire time, and I was looking at something else. So I was just talking like we normally do, and then when I turned around, she was on her way to the thing, and it was weird that she hadn't answered me in about 10 seconds. But but it just shows that I'm not a woman beater or a misogynist because like another man might, "Hey, why aren't you answering me?" But I didn't do that, right? I'm like, oh, okay, she must have something on her mind. She's texting or something, no type of aggression there. But if I were a more misogynistic man, I probably could have saved her a little bit sooner. But she is alive, so that's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, I think that, earlier you had posed the question where you had said that the show has experienced a little bit of a rebirth.
Mhm.
People are discovering it, new people are discovering it. And I think some of that is because people are looking for alternatives to the manosphere. There's so much ugly, toxic male conversation out there.
Yeah.
And I think people are finally starting to go, wait a minute, this can't be. If these are all guys, if this is what all guys are, we're cooked. There's got to be some guys out there who, are at least towing the line a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we all know that you don't have to be what they describe as an alpha male. First of all, like, Andrew, you could probably break that down better about the differences between an alpha and a beta, because we know that they're not really alpha men, but we view strength a little bit differently. Strength for me is like today, I get a phone call from my granddaughter looking for money for her packet, so she's going to school. The reason why that's strength to me is because she feels that strong enough in her relationship with me that she can pick up the phone and she can call me and ask me for what she needs and tell me why and have a conversation with me about it. And before that, before she called for money, they all called for money. But before she called for money, like the week before, she had called me just to say hi, but she wasn't thinking about the money. So it's like, that's, I mean, it could be a setup, it could be
She's
a
playing
setup.
the long game.
Long game,
Butterfly
yeah.
on up.
It could be,
That's what I was about to say.
it could be, but listen, like, but that's, but yeah, definitely. So it's like, that's building a relationship though. That's, that's what we want in everything. We want our daughters and we want our family members to come to us first. And I think that a lot of people, when they discuss masculinity in particular, masculinity is none of these things that these guys describe. It may go down that way, but that doesn't make having a large phallus and everything. That doesn't make you a man, or being able to use it. It's like being able to be compassionate to the people around you, and at the same time, it's like we're not soft either, because it's like, what am I? Well, I'll get into that later. Andrew, you have something you want to add to that, or think about that?
Yeah. Well, we have the quote unquote alpha males and what they call beta males and all this silly stuff. But the ones who are on the platforms talking about that they're alpha males, the ones you see talking, usually they're the exact opposite of what they are portraying. So a lot of them say, don't marry baby mamas, and they're married to baby mamas. They'll say things like, "Oh, you're just soft if you're being a stepfather," and they're stepfathers. They do a lot of those things, and so they're grifting, most of them, and they're being exposed. But there's still an audience for them. But I'm be doing an episode coming up soon on Sigma males, and that's just the alternative to both, where they are the true alphas in the sense that they're not the ones who are basically running around trying to get every single girl. They can do things on their own, but they're the ones that the girls generally want because they're not so aggressive in their approach. They don't have a problem. They take care of business. They handle their own stuff, and they're very responsible. And I wanted to do a show on Sigma males, which is a totally different, so a direction where those are the men that are quote unquote, women might say, got away because they can't secure those types of guys. And so I a while back, I did one called the good man tax. And I was just referring to men who are good and decent men as they get older. The women who turned them down when they were younger wish they could have them now. But if they try to get them now, they got to pay a higher price than what they would have paid had they did it before. And so the Sigma males kind of fall into that category.
Well, dating, there's a large element of regret that's involved in all dating. When that's something that they've done, or just basically have lost. Rob, you have any thoughts about that?
I look at it a little bit differently.
Okay.
In that, there's a lot of, you look at my early dating track record, I was a little bit out the box. You grow up, everybody telling you that you're going to have all the girls in the world. You start to believe that you should have all the girls in the world.
Yeah,
But it never really sat right with my soul, though. I was never really good at juggling because I'll remember my own bullshit. I can't help it. I can't remember my own bullshit. So I was never the juggling, but I tried it anyway. And it just didn't really work for me. But I just sort of look at it like the relationship doesn't work out. What did you learn? And then keep it moving. Like I always tell my current girlfriend one day, she was like, if we break up, this is going to happen. I said, I'm not really sure what you're talking about. I said, if we break up, it wasn't meant to be. I'm going to take the good from this. I said, the next person that I date will be you plus, every person I date,
Right.
you take the good from that and we add on to that. And the next person is that plus. I said, so, you're thinking you're going to go back into the pit and you're going to be dealing with bullshit, but that's an individual choice. Like I grow from every relationship.
Yeah.
And I think too many people wallow in the, one of the things that people need to do more of in this world is like people who like them.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? Like, I was thinking about something along the lines of what Andrew just said a second ago. Honestly speaking, these guys, like they say, I don't know, maybe it was you, Rob, that just said it. But don't date baby mamas, don't date women that have kids and things of that nature. And I always like, look, when we came up, that kind of started to become something that really wasn't as possible. So it's like my thought process was always the same thing. If I'm going to see your kids and I'm going to date you and I'm going to be around your kids, I'm going to be respectful to your kids. I'm going to be respectful to their father, but I'm not going to mistreat these kids. And I'm not going to be angry at those kids and act like an infantile man and try to argue or fight for your time with your kids and everything. And basically take their mother away from them.
And
And
there's a lot of dudes who do that, though. There's a lot of
ton
dudes who are in
and that's-
competition.
And that's my whole point. That's my whole point in mentioning it, because, like, really, honestly speaking, especially when we talk about all this community talk and who's black and who isn't black and how you're going to deal with people and everything. When you step in somebody's house and you're talking to their kids, I don't care if you birth them or not and everything. You try to get with their mom. So how you treat their kids is going to be a reflection of how they treat their moms. Now, that doesn't mean go out and come there and try to buy toys for the kid as soon as you get there and try to basically buy their affection, because basically then you're going to be buying the mom too. So you're off, you're going to get on the wrong foot from the beginning. But the whole thing is that if you want to talk about fixing a community, if you have someone that you have a community where everybody's got a daughter and an ex and all this other stuff, it would behoove you to be respectful and to be actually try to be helpful when you're in the same vicinity as those people and those kids. That's one thing that you can do that would actually help everything. Would y'all agree with that idea that we're wrong when somebody seems like, I ain't fucking with them kids and everything? Well, guess what? Somebody ain't fucking with your kids. So now your kids are going to be subjected to somebody. And that's the thing that gets everybody mad. Like, oh, you better not be I say that to my kid. Now, motherfucker, you're doing the same thing with somebody else. How do you expect disparate treatment? How does that work out? Isn't that what we're doing? Isn't that the basis of everything that we do here? Expecting disparate treatment for the same activities. You call somebody a racial slur, but you expect them to accept you. You know what I'm saying? You call a woman a hoe and then you expect her to come and want to be with you. Like, have we gone too far with negging in all aspects of society?
That's a good question. I would say we probably have went too far, but I'm under the theory that everything eventually will revert back to the mean. But you're correct. If you're gonna be in a relationship with a woman who has a child or children, you got to understand your place and your role in that situation. And you have to go in there with that thought process in mind that this is the way it is. And if you can't do it or can't handle it, then be upfront and honest with them right away. Because sometimes you just can't, some guys just can't do it. Maybe it's their ego gets in the way. Maybe they're used to being, the center of attention. You're going to have to take a step back when you're in a relationship with someone with children.
That's like behavior. So,
Yeah.
and a lot of these men, and a lot of those men will claim to be alpha males that actually practice that. And that's it. That is really it's a red flag for this. Like, seriously. And I'm going to, Robert, you have something to say before I go off? Before I go off?
No, you go. Let's hear you go off, Holmes.
No. I mean, that's basically.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, if you need to be the center of the tension, then you just need to leave a woman with kids alone.
Yep.
Like that. And once again, too many people get caught up on the visual, date people who like you, date people who are like you. Stop reaching out for shit that ain't really for you.
Right.
I was with this cat the other morning, and he's very successful in what he does. But he has, we're in the cart together. We're on the golf course, and his phone starts to blow up, and his girlfriend needs $600,
Mhm.
and she needs it now. So he's, hustling. And the picture, he
Andrew, are
in
you
the
in
trap. What?
Go ahead.
This brother, he caught in the trap. Like, you look at her, you're like, oh, he doesn't chase something that's above his station, and now he's gonna be paying for it for the rest of his life. It's just not. If you need to be center of attention, woman's got kids, leave it alone, man. Move on to the next. There's another one. Like trains, there's another one. There's more of them than there are of us. So just keep it moving. The whole
That's the
shit
truth.
thing. But then again, there's a lot of women who, as soon as they meet that man, they start putting that man in front of their kids because they don't know any better.
And that's a mistake.
Right.
They don't know any better. They just think they got to take care of their man. And now these kids is in the way.
Andrew, why do you think it's a mistake?
Initially, it's a mistake just simply because you don't know where that relationship is going until you have some idea or I would say a positive signs that this is going to at least be a long-term relationship. I just don't think that every man that a woman comes in contact with that has kids should be meeting her kids. I just think it's very you can't just expect because as guys, we know that sometimes we will date a woman with kids, but we're only interested in her.
Mhm.
We're not interested. I mean, sometimes we just want what we want, and then that's it. And so,
But as long as you're upfront about that, there's a lot of women who are more than willing to, hey, look, I really don't have time. If you meet a woman who's got some sense about her, there's a lot of women who've done the math, who've done the math in terms of their time. And like, look, what I need is somebody who's going to be respectful and every once in a while, wring my back out.
Right.
Like, I don't need you to take care of my kids. I don't need that part. I just need relief on the side. And if you can be straight up, you can have that great conversation and you can get into that kind of relationship. But the problem is dudes start, they promising more than they're really willing to give
Mhm.
because they're at this point, they're in to say whatever it takes to get the booty.
Mhm.
yeah,
And that's
And
when
what
we
I-
wind up underwater.
yeah, and that's the point I was making. I was just trying to say, like, some guys are going in that direction and have no intention on having any type of thing with the children. And when back when I was younger, I would let women know up front, where I stood with the whole thing and, what I thought was going to happen, but there, I've only had, I guess with women who had children or a child, I've only had really one relationship that lasted more than a year.
Mhm.
That situation, because I never really, it wasn't that I was against it. I just didn't at that time in my life didn't see it happening.
Mhm.
And there's a level of maturity that goes into it with being a man. It's not
There-
every man can do it. And I can just say
It's a
that.
lot. And there's not the downs are much greater than the upsides.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like there's a whole, because, and some of this, I learned through the therapy process, like kids just want their parents together. Kids
Mhm.
don't want to be
Yeah.
separated. Kids don't want their parents separated. So they're against you from the word go. And it's not their fault. They're not being mean. They don't think that you're a dick or whatever. They just want their mom and their dad together. And
Mhm.
so you have to navigate that piece of it. And that's tough. And so sometimes you can contribute everything and the kids adore you and whatever. But then this guy decides he wants to stop, he's done playing with his snow bunnies and whatever, and he wants to come and feel some love.
Mhm.
And now you're going to get the cold shoulder and you got to be okay with that in that moment. But a lot of dudes start flipping. Oh, I've been paying for this and I've been doing this. And now it's what you signed up for, man. The good and the bad.
Right. And that's pretty much what life is all about. It's about dealing with the fact that we're not always going to make decisions that are lasting. Like, and I'm going to change the subject a little bit because this is kind of like what I wanted to get into about identity and really how people view themselves. And unfortunately, we are in a situation and a system where everyone is being manipulated based upon how they feel, how we feel, and how we view ourselves. And I notice all these different subsets, and I can just go straight to the Black community. We've had the conversation before about the FBA, and you've got the Pan-Africanism, and you've got the Jamaicans and the Africans, and like all these different groups. And then you have Indigenous American peoples, and then you have Mexicans, and you have Puerto Ricans, and Dominicans. Like that's been a big thing recently between Dominicans, Black Dominicans, and all these things, and all these different places where we have these people that are all brown people that are really coming at each other. And all of these groups of people, if you wanted to name a spokesman for any one of the groups, like, could you name one off the top of your heads, either one of you? Could you name, like, the head of the Dominicans, FBAs, Blacks, whites, Puerto Ricans? Can you tell me one person? You don't have an answer for it. You do not have an answer for it. And that's the whole point. There is nobody. There is no leader. What this is contrived bullshit that had people at one time that were speaking about, and this is the way that the world was going. We used to talk about a diaspora, right? Nobody talks about a diaspora anymore. Now we talk about who started what and who did what first. And I just want to know, is there any intrinsic value beyond yourself? I know about my history on my father's side almost completely, thanks to Alexander. And of course, family members going to family reunions. We were there for a long time. And, I've been there on my mother's side, it's a little bit more the story. I don't know as much about that story and everything. But I know that I'm here now. And I know what I represent now, and I represent me. I represent my family. I represent my people. And as far as my community is concerned, well, that's a deeper conversation as to what actually makes up a community in this day and age. But do you feel like these people are having these, do you think that people having these identity conversations, is it really just a cry for help for people that just want to be seen? No, I'm serious. Like, you can laugh about it, but it's like, really, honestly, I really think that's what it is when you give it a thought process, because there's no place where we're going to all go out the FBEs and the Pan-Africans, and we're not going to play a soccer tournament or even have a boxing match against each other. You know what I'm saying? If there's a group, the indigenous people are not leaving the fucking reservation to go over to, to where the Black Muslims are, so that way we can start a war. This is not happening. So what is the fucking purpose?
Are you pitching the Identity Olympics?
That's it. I mean, it seems like that's what the internet does on a daily basis.
But here's the thing: all these people are cooked in the same stew, right? We all grew up in the same pot. We all grew up learning the same BS. People are built to be connected, and they always find a thread line in which to connect themselves. Whether it's their religion, whether it's their tribe, whether it's their village, whatever. They always find a thread line. They just, in this country, invented a way that became very inclusive for all the Europeans and very exclusive for those of us who did not look like Europeans. And we are all going to continue arguing about identity because that's the game that they have us playing right now. Like, I grew up, I'm a mixed kid. My mom's from Colombia, South America. My mom looks white. I remember I had no idea. I was in school one day and my mom came into the office and there's this dude, Peanut, that I played football with. I wish I remember Peanut's real name, but Peanut went running down the hallway screaming, "Yo, Rob's mom is white." And Like that was the first time that I really knew that my mom was white. Like, and you know, I was in school already, but she was just mom.
Right.
But
Right.
they have everybody playing the identity game because while we're all arguing about who should get what and how this pie should be divided and who should have access, they're busy clearing all the stuff off the board.
Right.
Like, we're going to there eventually one day.
There ain't no
if we don't
fucking pie.
Flow it. There's gonna be nothing left to
There ain't
divide,
no
and at
fucking
that
pie.
point, they'll be like, "Hey, y'all want in? You can join in." Well, they've already divided a pie. You know,
They've
there's a
already-
couple of crumbs left in the pan, and that's when
They-
we'll be allowed in. But
They-
as long as we're arguing about identity, we're not talking about the real shit.
They've already given up the pie. Andrew, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, no, I was just simply gonna say it's like when you were talking about it being, more inclusionary to European people, what's happening is some of the other races, whether it be us or Hispanic or even Asian, they're all trying to the fairer their skin is, they're trying to fit into the white culture. And they're under the impression that that's white is right. So if they can fit in and be a part of it, then they won't be the ones being ridiculed. What they're finding out, and especially geopolitically, what they're finding out is that they're still looked down upon. They're not going to be a part of the group. If you remember way back when I was talking after the election, when the one guy thought that because he voted a certain way, that gave him inclusion into the white community in Texas. And he quickly found out that that was not the case. And so a lot of people really believe this, that they are included in certain things. Pertaining to some of these groups, these FBAs and all these other different groups that they're labeling themselves and calling themselves, in New York, we never had these types of conversations because everybody's everywhere, and it's just like, we just looked at people, and if we just hung out with you just because you were, we didn't care if you were Jamaican, you're from Haiti or wherever you get Dominican, we didn't really care. I mean, we were just, just having fun. So when I'm hearing this stuff now at this stage in the game, I'm looking at these guys like they're crazy.
What the fuck? Like honestly, like, the reason why I thought about it, like I'm completely over the topic. I just need you to know. Because like, what I'll do is I'll go and I'll scroll and I'll read a certain amount of comments, but there's like a limit inside of my brain that says, okay, enough of this bullshit. It's over with. And the only comment I made on this recently in the past, like I went through a period where I was just reading these threads for like, 2 weeks straight about this. And my comment was, I just wrote in, I fucks with those who fucks with me. It's not simple. That's how we've always been. You fucks with me, I fucks with you. On a real level and everything. I can't tell whether or not the person who's light and bright, if he's gonna be a sellout or he may be the most down motherfucker, the shit you wearing motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Got fucking munitions in his crib. You know what I'm saying? You don't know who is who. You don't know who is who, which is basically like, the real deal. So it's like, I just come to this understanding that these motherfuckers are just sousing about shit that they have no fucking clue about, and they have no problem doing it. And it's like, like the conversation I had with you, Rob. Me and Rob had to talk for a couple of weeks, maybe 10 days, until like, like yesterday. And I just saw it, and I was just like expressing to him the difference between post-recovery and how you feel about things post-recovery. And really, honestly, it's like, I can't give less fucks about a lot of these dumb positions that people say that I've ever in my entire life. I don't want to warn people. I don't want to like, I don't want to see them go down, but it's like, at the same time, it's like, they just do such stupid things. And the reasons why people are doing these things for identity politics, and just like, none of these things have any money. It's like, what part of the game is that? I don't understand the game. I don't.
But
Somebody
there's
will throw me in.
but the game is being played at another level. Like So the world has changed a lot, right? When my mom and her people immigrated over to the United States, basically you said goodbye to those people. You know, you embraced the new language. You tried to become part of the culture. So they came over here and they tried to get as white as possible, right? Now you move over from anywhere. You can watch the same TV shows you always did. The new people who are coming over here now are not trying to assimilate as much as the older generations did. They're standing very firm in who they are, who they were, and not necessarily diving into becoming part of this melting pot. And I think you see a larger part, identity politics plays into that, because these people, they're Dominicans now. They don't give a shit about whatever. Like, they're going to take their money and they're going to send it back home. They can Western Union the extra money home. They're Haitians. They don't give a shit about what the rest of you guys are doing. They're going to go take care of Haiti.
So actually, is that the reason why we have ICE? Is that one of the things where the actual beefs? What Rob just said. Because they are trying to, because to a certain extent, they're not trying to assimilate. I mean, whiteness. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that's just good old fashioned racism. I mean, it's not that's just like the old playbook there, where we're just going to do it just because we can.
Yeah, they're not sending ICE to Brighton Beach.
Yeah, exactly. This is being done because they have the power and they can do it, and there's no one that can really stop them. So that it's more about that than it is anything else. So I don't know. I'm gonna ask you guys: do you think some of these guys supported the politics or the policies, going on the assumption that, hey, if we do support it, that they won't touch us,
Most
and then are
definitely.
finding out that no, they actually will? I mean, people are naive,
Most
and
definitely.
and that's just, I think a lot of people really thought that if they went along, that they would be untouched. And now they're finding out that that's not the case.
Well, it's like what Rob said about the proximity to the proximity. And like, you know what? When I have these shows and everything, and I have these conversations, to me, I'm not trying to beat up on white people. We're just telling the truth. But when you tell the truth, it sounds like you're punching and you're beating up on white people and everything. And that's not the point of this. And the reason why I mention that is because a lot of these people that come over, these Asians, these different people from these different cultures and everything, they came over with the thought process of things that we already know. And the reason why I have to say that why I don't want to beat up on white people is because I'm over them too. You know what I'm saying? Honestly speaking, I'm really over them too. It's like there's no reason for me. If I change your opinion or I don't change your opinion, that's not going to change anything in life. It's not going to change the world. It's not going to change anything about how we go about doing things. It's not going to change anything. Collectively, people have to come to these understandings. And unfortunately, we don't control the message delivering system. This is the message delivering system right here. This is the best that we can get. You know what I'm saying? People think, over the past, 30 days, downloading 1,500 episodes. That's the only way. And that's a drop in the bucket. You know what I'm saying? We're not getting on ABC News. I'm not going to be on CNN. Nobody's paying me to do this. This podcast costs me money. It costs money. And all the people the thing is, now if I wanted to do something and I changed my ways and I was like, okay, now I start pandering the different crowds and everything. Now it becomes successful. Now it becomes worth it. Now it becomes money. It becomes something that you have to protect. And now it becomes this-like. Because I can't say what I want to say. I can't talk about the things that I want to talk about. And these people would be okay. The difference between those people and me, those new immigrants that are coming over and they're just watching TV, when they do have to walk out and they do have to choose a side, the side that they're choosing is to try to assimilate with whiteness. And as we've seen, it's not working out for them so well. And the reason why I'm over it is because I know it's not going to be worked out for them so well, because I know from being around these people for all these years, they don't really care and everything. My mother told me that in the very beginning. They don't care whether or not, they don't care, like, about your feelings, about what you're going through. They don't care about, it's not something that's on their fucking list and everything. They're just trying to get through the best as they can. And a lot of them, and that's really what it is. A lot of these people, we were talking about it just a little while ago. And I'm sorry I'm rambling, guys, but I guess it's host privilege. I get to ramble for a second. We were talking about the crowds at a local steakhouse. Okay. That's a chain that a lot of people are there. Normally you got a lot of guys in cowboy hats walking in there and everything. What happened? And how during the week now, that place is damn near fucking desolate. And they're running the greatest sales on rims and different things in order to get people back in. And the reason is very simple. Your gas is $3.75. Your fucking steaks are, your chicken. I bought chicken thighs the other day, $14 for a package of chicken thighs. You know what I'm saying? Your
That's the
steaks
reason to quit eating chicken right there, Holmes.
yeah, I'm telling you, you get a 4-pack, you're going for a 4-pack of steaks and it's $80. You know what I'm saying? You got to break off a casino if you want to feed your kids steaks. And this is kind of like the world that they want. The reason why you have all these identity wars, and those wars are being actually paid for. People get paid for on TikTok for saying, like, I'm FBA or I'm Caribbean, or, I'm Mexican or whatever and everything. And they get paid to split these things up, because they're making those states impossible. You will own nothing and you will like it. And when you have a steak, it's going to be a fucking treat. It is something that you aspire to that. And oh my God, it's just the way it is. Rob, go ahead.
Well, I mean, that's, you and I have gone and sat down at the Cap and knocked down, a cone of crusted steak.
Trying to tell you.
It's part of the reward system in America. That's what they build you up for.
It's a beautiful thing.
They get you into that system, get you wanting more.
Yes.
Get you on the carousel. But before I forget, because you had said something earlier about this being, I heard the best internet clapback, or saw the best internet clapback that I've seen in a long time. Jamel Hill, journalist. Some cat tried to clown her and say that, basically he was like, look, you on the internet giving your thoughts away free, just like me. She's like, look, honey, only one of us being paid for their opinions. What you thought I failed at wasn't even a possibility for you. And I was like, God damn, my eyeballs feel a little bit hot after reading that. What
That's a good one.
What I failed at was not even a possibility for you.
He pulled out the big joker.
Yeah.
And you know what? I have the same kind of that thought. I must have been out there in the ether, because that thought crossed my mind. Because you know what? I think people sometimes they sit up here and they get in these spaces on the internet and they get into the critical modes where they just criticizing everybody, and you ain't done nothing. You're sitting at fucking home. You never listen. A lot of these topics that we talk about, when we talk about stuff, we have experience in these topics. I'm very fucking careful. Even when I've had guests on the show, we talk about money and finance because, guess what? I used to be a mortgage banker. I have the certifications to do the personal finance for you and invest your money. I don't do it, but I have that knowledge. I actually studied it. I read it. I learned it. When we talk about the internet and communications, Rob is a communications professional. When we talk about what's going on in society, Andrew is a fucking sociologist, psychologist. I don't even know what your title is exactly. But but what I'm saying is the point of the matter is that, and we're all of a certain age, we have experience in these things. We can talk about this stuff. And I can talk about the good things that I did, and I can talk about the bad things that I did. I can talk about everything that I did right and everything that I did wrong. And I'm not ashamed to talk about the things that I did wrong. I don't care how I look to you. I don't look at this afro. You think this motherfucker gives a fuck about how I look to you after you listen to what I say? No. I'm going to tell it like it is because that's the way I have to do things. That's the only thing I found out about my death experiences. I can't hold my tongue. I can't hold back. I can't not say things about people. Now, that being said, there's a certain group of people I can't say that control a lot of media. I can't talk about a lot of ways. But even then, and it's like the reason why is because you have conversations about things. I can discern between the good things in the Black community and bad things in the Black community and be honest about it. But some topics or some people, they take them and they make them off. They've taken them off the menu completely and totally. And if you want to get your country back, that's when you start getting your country back, by talking about these things that they don't want you to talk about. But you can't do that because these motherfuckers will be laughing when you do it, and then it's lawyer.
But you know what, John? One of the hardest things to explain to people is that racism is very expensive. It costs a lot of money to be a middle class person or below middle class person to be racist. It costs a lot of money. You're going to spend a ton of money just to say you're better than someone else. It's one of the most ridiculous things out of all of the things, like when we talk about the 7 deadly sins, envy is the one that you don't get anything from. And this is what these guys are doing. They're so envious of our culture, of other cultures, especially our culture. They're very envious of it. So they do all that they can to sort of keep us down. And it's costing them a whole bunch of money. They're going broke.
It literally makes no sense because before we started this, we had a melting pot, the world, and they were actually able to participate in a lot of different things. Then they start bringing up this race stuff, and now you need an invite to the picnic and a cookout. Do you not see how y'all basically reverse Uno that whole situation? Like, y'all was stealing barbecue recipes. Y'all niggas was in the house stealing the barbecue recipes. Now, you got to get checked at the door. It's just the way it is. It's like, fuck that. But this is the culture. But, and I have to say, honestly speaking, I don't think it's the culture. That's the culture that the majority of white Americans want. They may not know how to verbalize it. They may not know how to go about it. They definitely don't want to give up none of their shit. They don't want to give up none of their money. They don't want to pay for it. So it's like, right there, a lot of people just turn it off and say, it's a non-starter. Stop trying to help these motherfuckers. They ain't giving up the dough. It's not worth having a conversation about. But it's true, but you ain't giving up your dough either. Nobody's giving up their dough. Nobody wants to give up their dough. It's a simple thing. But the thing is this, though, you have to look at it, and I look at all these guys, and I look at like Elon Musk, for example, who just gave me a follow on Twitter last week again. You know what I'm saying? That's how I know that we're making cultural fucking awareness shit, because they start fucking paying attention to what we're saying. Oh, the numbers are. People aren't paying attention. We're gonna have to come in. We have to come out for after this guy.
You'll know that you're really making a difference if he offers you a ride on SpaceX.
Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah, that would be nice.
He's like, hey, John, would you like to go to the moon?
Yeah, sure.
Problem is, half the people will be like, oh shit, we're going to go to the moon. Motherfucker, they trying to get you off the planet.
Yeah,
And you're celebrating it.
Oh,
They're trying to give you a one-way ticket. That shit's going to explode in midair.
That would cause the stock to go up.
Right. But that's what happens today, though. That's what happens today. They don't even pretend like they're going to take you out. They just take you out.
Yeah.
They really do. And there's no the idea of justice in this country. Justice is being perpetrated by people who are starting arguments with people over standing on a sidewalk. We're so past due process where you even let these cases go to court. They don't go to court anymore. We solve them right there on the pavement and everything. You've got a messaging system that wants you to, that's telling you to comply. Period. Comply. That's all we want. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to hear about it. Comply. Get in line. Because once they get you to comply no matter what, then they're going to take something else away from you. But the reason why I mentioned Elon Musk is because this guy's got billions of dollars. All these guys have billions of dollars that are sitting up here in these banks, and this money isn't circulating. And you wonder why you don't have any money. And it's because you're fucking clapping for Elon Musk. You know, the government's purpose in taking taxes from people is to make sure that money does not stay stagnant. It does not help anyone. Period. And you're allowing them to basically change that system. And, you know, I would like for this show to actually at one point become a masterclass for the underclass. Really. And when I say that, I mean, you need to understand how the world actually works. Enough of this me going and fucking worrying, trying to see what you're saying and everything and just going, oh, boy. Like, you know, because I don't have fucking, all I have is fucking extensive experience in many, many different fields. And in high IQ and an ability to fucking express myself. So forgive me and everything for even talking. And I know everybody has got a podcast or whatever, but not everybody has a podcast. Learn more because of faded away. But we need to start teaching people to understand, like, hey, this shit is a trap. You know, it's important that you fucking are proud of being Haitian. It's important that you're proud to be Dominican. But what that doesn't do is it doesn't diminish everybody else that's around me. I'm very proud to be a Black man. And, you know, I have to say that because I'm not using the color. I'm using the categorization of being a part of the diaspora. And I'm proud of that. And anybody who's in the diaspora and stand with me, I'm down with them. And that's the way that we have to go about these things. We have to find allies and stop trying to fucking create enemies, because anybody that you go out and kill, if you have a battle between the Mexicans and the Blacks, and you know, at the end of the day, there's 100 on each side, and 80 of them end up on the floor, and 20 of them walk away. The only people that won are the ones that have to make meals the next day, because they have to make 160 less meals. Y'all ain't fucking doing the math.
But when you're pitting each other against, what you're describing in the long run is that when you put these interracial wars or these wars against other races and cultures, and you create this distraction, the ultimate goal is stealing your money.
Yeah. It's
So that's what's happening.
It's statistics. It's about money and it's about resources, really. Because money doesn't exist. Money doesn't mean anything and everything. It's control of the resources. That's what the game is. The game is right now, you have a data center, it needs water. So now these areas over here where they need water, they're going through droughts where data centers are because they have the resources. And guess what? You don't have the money. And you can have a conversation all you want about needing water. I want to know how much money you're going to pay. If you're not going to pay for that water, you're going to go thirsty. A lot of you motherfuckers out here who have not gone thirsty, who will make decent salaries, y'all about to go thirsty. And that's a euphemism that goes a little bit deeper than water. Right? So fellas, like, you know, did I miss anything? Because I really want to try to keep us at a safe range of time. Y'all have anything you want to add to these thoughts and ramblings? I know it's like just really the ramblings of a madman, but it is what it is.
Hey, the numbers are up, so they must like it.
I don't know about that. You know thy enemy, know thyself, right?
That's it.
You know? So, could be lovers, could be haters, and everything. Rob?
He's muted.
You're muted, bro.
I'm sorry. My daughter texted me in the middle of this. But for a good thing, she wants to mooch my New York Times password. So I'm okay with that. She's gonna do some reading. So
Good.
and knock her down for that. You know, identity politics is tough. You know, we all have to realize since the Reagan Revolution, they've been stripping away all the social safety nets, and they've been pushing us into our corners because they need us to fight so that we don't see what's really going on. The problem is Earth is a place where you come to learn, and not everybody's here to be, on that level. As Brother Grant, who's celebrating a birthday today, happy birthday, Grant.
Brother Grant.
Hey, brother.
The 85s are going to be 85s.
Yeah.
You can't uplift some people because they're not here to be uplifted. There's some things that they need to work through before they can get uplifted. I probably was in that position myself. I had to work through the alcohol thing before I could get, to my true spiritual self. So these fights are going to continue. It serves a purpose for those in power. And until more people see through it, and start to push it to the side, we're going to keep spinning around in this. We're going to be the hamster on the wheel.
Which means we're going to have many more times where we can have topics on shows about fuckeries. So last thing I want
It's all fuckery. They asked for 80, we had 2 government shutdowns this year, right? And then a couple of weeks ago, Pete Hegseth went in and asked for $38 billion for more war. Right? We did this whole bullshit last week. The New York Times or Wall Street Journal exposed that, Trump they had to sneak Trump off of Air Force One and put him on a different plane because they're worried about threats from Iran. We went to war to stop Iran from having a nuclear threat. We wouldn't have to worry about whether Iran has a nuclear bomb or not if we'd stop fucking with these people.
Right.
Like, we've been fucking around in their politics since the 50s. And we keep acting like they're doing something to us. Like, as long as we keep spinning this simple bullshit, we're all going to be in the same position. We got to, but there's not, like I said, not everybody's there yet. So it can be frustrating. When you start to get enlightened, when you start to see a little bit above the clouds, it gets frustrating because, man, like, it's right there in front of you.
It really is. And this is what I'm saying in masterclass from the other classes, because the spin is like a funnel. Okay. And the spin starts at a higher level with Iran and Iraq and how people perceive themselves. And it works its way to the Middle East. And then it works its way down to just one country. And then it works its way down to just one person or one government group. And then it works its way to one group of people. And it's the same spins on different levels. And if you really just open your eyes, you'll see that the way that they have they're spinning Iran, it's the same way they're spinning race and identity. Andrew, you have something you'd like to answer?
Just one last thing pertaining to that. I just want to say that when are we going to learn that you really can't win a war in the Middle East? It's just to the point where there's no, I don't see the upside.
It's not about
time. We've never really had an upside in any war that we went into in the Middle East. Even the first Gulf War really didn't accomplish anything other than it just put us right back where we were before the invasion. So I mean, none of these wars in the Middle East have ever panned out. Not only for us, but any other nation that's tried to go in there and mess around. The Soviet Union found out the hard way; it bankrupted them.
What if the nation is General Dynamics and Northrop Grumman?
And therein lies the problem.
It's been amazing for them. It's been amazing for them.
That's correct. Right? That was my term.
We're winning the war.
It's not about the war. It's about commerce, because, and really, honestly, they've created all the problems for us. They're worried about, quote unquote, Muslim invasion in Europe and everything. Well, there's no invasion if you don't bomb fucking Iran, if you don't bomb Iraq, if you don't clear these countries out, if you allow Libya to flourish and, irrigate those desert lands and everything, but saying it comes with the commerce. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was just simply going to say that if you listen to how we've talked about Iran or Iraq or any of those countries in the Middle East, mostly Iran, these are the same talking points they used in the 80s.
Yeah.
They're the exact same words. Almost word for word, they're saying the exact same thing. If we don't attack or do something right now, they're going to get a nuke. But if we don't do something, they've been saying the same thing for 40 something years, and nothing has ever happened. They haven't done any of these things, but it gives them a way to get into that area and mess around.
It resonates with the low educated who have been indoctrinated into these beliefs since they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The imagery that starts with cartoons and continues on with the internet. And now it's like even easier. You can pretty much censor all types of books and education. You can, they've created a funnel for the 85s. The 85s are, and they've actually eliminated ways, well, people think that this stopping people on the side of the road and all of these things, that it's just about control. It's also about controlling like outliers. The 60s, the music business is full of outliers. People sitting up there singing songs and writing things about things that are actually happening that'll go out to a bunch of people. You have independent record labels that would put out a Bob Seger or one of these other people, and they're singing these songs, and people are actually getting notice to it. So they had to get that under control. So they got rid of all the labels, and they got those under control. They get the newspapers under control. They have child care under control. They have all these different controls. So that way, just for the simple fact, they've done all of these things and demolished all these simple things. So that way, Andrew can make the observation, which is silent observation, that these people are easily swayed by rhetoric. A conversation about these people bad, the brown people bad, these people good. And in the meantime, it's like, how many hunks of flesh do they have to take out of your side before you realize that you're completely and totally emancipated, because they've been taking little chunks from out of your entire existence? It would be okay if you weren't dragging everybody else there with you, but that's exactly what the fuck you're doing. And
on that note, when you hear it, you know it. Like, one of the things that I do, I watch CBS Sunday Morning a lot. And when you come to the end of the piece, there's usually a quote. It usually ends with a quote. And when you hear a piece, like that right there is your ending.
And that right there is
your note.
Just this time. Mr. Rich, you have become my second.
Aloha, my brother. Andrew, good to see you, bro.
Good to see you too, bro.
I know this man is working there, Mr. Andrew Johnson.
Hey, anytime. I love coming on.
Is that a Jedi sort of thing of
my
Jalen
shirt.
Brunson?
No, this is
What is it?
This is OG-Wan Kenobi.
OG-Wan Kenobi. Okay.
You're out of control. But you know what? I love it. I love the energy.
OG-Wan Kenobi. All right.
Just to show, let everybody know where we're going. But I am not a fake Knicks fan and everything. I used to root for the Knicks. James Dolan turned me off of the team a long time ago and everything. And I had to so I can't celebrate and be one of those people that's like, yes, the Knicks won, now I'm a bitch. So listen, the whole lesson for today is don't be a bitch and everything. You can call yourself an alpha man. That don't mean anything. Don't be a bitch. Don't mistreat them kids. Don't walk around with your chest out. Don't leave because you got a big penis. It means everything the world's supposed to. We all got big penises on this panel, I'm guessing. Or at least I know the house does. Not worried about everything else.
And remember, as Frank Zappa said, don't you go where the Huskies go.
Yes.
Don't you eat that yellow snow.
Yes. And now we've gone too far. We're in trouble, everybody. Love you guys and everything. Hope you can accept the blue language and everything. We'll be back maybe next week, maybe in 2 weeks. I need to do another show, but I wanted to get this one in here. Love you guys, everybody. Peace.
Later.